Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Ah,
I
ah.
I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas, and I think that Christmas lasts at least 2 weeks, so
Does it?
Christmas. And there's still lots of fun to have. Just don't eat too much.
No, I can't. I don't do that.
Good, good. All right. So, what I wanted to do, I'm going to go over this idea that I have. Okay. So
Hello.
hello. So this idea is this is my main week of the entire year. This is actually the week where I get the most amount of stuff done. I don't know why. The only thing I can really think of is that I always feel like when you get to Christmas, you have this feeling that it's the end of the year. That the end of the year's gone, and basically 2000 and whatever, this time it's going to be 2026, is about to start. And there's always this week in between Christmas and New Year where not a lot happens. Yet this is where I get all of my stuff done. So I decided, because 2026, in my personal opinion, based on everything that I'm doing, is going to be massive when it comes to watercolor, my watercolors, and I hope your watercolors, and that's my goal. I'm just like, you know what? Instead of me doing what I normally do this week, it's like, let's try and get rid of whatever frustrations, things that are not working. Let's just say things that shouldn't be in our paintings yet are. A lot of paintings don't get the recognition they should, sometimes because we've got things in there or we've got fundamentals that are not working. So I thought 5 days, let's address one of these fundamentals that are not working, that I see in so many paintings, one per day for 5 days, and see if we can undo these knots and get painting levels higher. And I think we can. So I have no idea what day it is. I'm so confused. I think it's Saturday. It is Saturday. We have
Yes.
Saturday and Sunday. Then Monday I have my normal live. Okay, so these 5 days, there's not one of these 5 days lives on Monday. We then go back to Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So it's 5 days, but we do have the Monday live sort of stuck in the middle. And what I want to do today is I want to work on the most fundamental. I want to just, in the next hour, give you my take on why there is a lack of confidence in paintings, how profound it goes, why it's there, how detrimental it is, what you can do about it, and what I do absolutely think you should do about it, and what I do about it. Because this is actually the main problem that I see in artists everywhere, professional and amateurs. And I'm going to explain how you know it's true and why you can see it too, even if you haven't yet put your finger on it. This is the main reason that artists don't develop: a lack of confidence in your ideas, a lack of confidence in your identity, meaning that you're able to go out and create your own paintings in your own way rather than borrowing other people's ideas and other people's techniques and methods. You have your own confidence in the way that you paint, the results that you get, where you put your paintings, and all that stuff. Okay, that is the main thing that doesn't work. And it doesn't work for every level, professional to amateur to beginner. It's the main thing. And so if we just try and figure out where it comes from, because if there's a problem, you have to figure out where the problem comes from. Otherwise, how do you fix it? Okay, and my goal is to actually get stuff done, not just take up time. And so if I think about it, okay, we're going to go a little bit uncomfortable for some people. The main thing is lack of confidence in people. Okay, that's the main one. The main one is that many people today actually lack confidence with themselves. That's not new. I think most people would agree on that. Most people do actually have a lack of confidence in their own ability, in their own decision making. And even if they're okay with their ideas and they're okay with the decisions that they're willing to make, sometimes they're even not okay to take those decisions and turn them into practice to make them actually happen. And That's the main barrier. And I see that every single exhibition that I exhibit in, that I judge, or just paintings that I look at on the internet. How do I see it? Why do I say it? You're gonna see. How many artists do you see today that all paint the same way? How many artists that you see today, let's just take street scenes as a subject, that all paint street scenes in the same way, with the same method, virtually with the same brush strokes, with the same colors, with the same composition. What that says to me, when I see an artist doing that, that means they don't have confidence in their own ideas because they're borrowing someone else's. They don't have confidence in their technique because they're borrowing the technique of someone else. They don't have confidence in their choices because they're not their own choices. And this we are seeing across the board, whether it be in the world of portraits, you're going to see repetition of the same method, the same style, the same composition, the same way of doing the flick of the hair. It doesn't matter. It goes down to the tiniest little details, but it's always the same. Landscapes, street scenes, and portraits are probably the worst ones. There's a little bit more originality in still lifes. I have no idea why. That's just what I see. So I see across the board, most artists are not just uncomfortable doing their own paintings, making their own choices, and then applying it. So it's not just a personal thing. Then there's another layer. So we've got people that have that confidence level, reduced confidence level in themselves, but it goes deeper. Okay. It goes deeper, and this is something that I get extremely frustrated with. And this is the artists. This is those up there. These are the professional artists, okay? And I hope that I don't get identified in this basket. These are the professional artists up there, or the judges, okay? So I'm one of them. But when I see beginners and amateurs borrowing the ideas of a professional, borrowing or being extremely influenced by the choices and all of the rest of it, the decisions of a professional artist, it's almost as if it says, if you're up there, you're a professional artist, you're a professional judge, I accept that you know better, so it must mean that I know less. Do you see how that works? So what that's actually saying is that whatever your ideas are not as good. Whatever your choices are not as good. And then whatever you do, maybe it's not the right way. So then there's this other thing, which is the competitions and the exhibitions. And I love judging competitions and exhibitions. I have so much fun doing it. Most of the time I do it for free. Sit there looking at 5,000, 2,000 paintings all at once for like a week on end. Some people like to go and do something more fun. And I actually like doing that. I find it extremely eye-opening. But I see with a lot of the competitions and the exhibitions, the prizes go to the people that mimic the style, the choices, and the decisions of the professionals. So what is that saying? That's saying that that's reinforcing that those decisions are good, that if you follow that method, that way of doing it, you're going to get the visibility, you're going to get selected, you're going to get the congratulations, you've won a prize, you've sold a painting. So we're kind of reinforcing that everyone paint in the same way with the ideas of those up there because your ideas are not good. Can you imagine how heavy that is? Is that, and I think personally, that that plays such a very destructive role on those that are trying to improve their paintings and are trying to create their own identity, their own style, their own whatever, okay? And it goes further than that even still. Because don't use white, don't use black, don't go back in your paintings. For goodness sake, don't use gouache. We then put limits on what the artists are supposed to do. So know your creativity and your own ideas, not here. We don't want them here. We want you to conform. We want you to follow the example. I love the watercolor scene. I think it's such an amazing place full of amazing people with the most amazing and generous and passionate intentions. But I think that it's getting trapped into this mentality, which is getting very much reduced to you are allowed to be creative within these limits. And so what happens to your confidence? How can you be confident? How can you be confident with your choices if you're constantly getting told from somewhere that your confidence, your ideas, and your choices, if they don't follow that direction, maybe they're not good? Does that mean, is that why my paintings are not selected? Because my ideas are not good? So then I hesitate? And then what happens to an artist who lacks confidence? What are they going to do? They're going to start to copy the subject more and more because it creates some sort of feedback and reassurance that I did a good job because it looks just like the photo. Or I'm going to be influenced by someone else because they know. And therefore, maybe if they know and I do similar, then maybe I'll be considered to be like similar to, you know, what they do and how much they know. So I'm going in the right direction. So this is where I think this is one of the most fundamental issues that I feel needs to be addressed for all artists. And obviously I speak for myself, but based on my knowledge and my understanding and what I see in the watercolor scene. So my 2012 is to expand this and take away some of these barriers and try and open up the discussion on all of this. But today, what I want to focus on is how you can improve your confidence in your paintings because it is the base of everything that has to follow. It is the absolute foundation of everything that you do. So yes, there is a foundation of you as a person and your confidence level. So that goes back to some people just aren't confident in themselves and they just always think that whatever they do is not good enough or you know, someone else is better. That's one thing. But then there's all that top-down sort of influence of the others that needs to be addressed. So what I want to do today is give you the exact exercise that I do before every single painting that I do. This is everything that I'm going to give you in these 5 days is my method that I have used, I have developed, and I still use to get rid of these things and make sure that these problems stay away. Now, I'm not a person that lacks confidence, okay? I have a lot of confidence in me just because, but I'm okay with me. And I'm okay with my ideas, and I know that my ideas and what I do resonates with my values, resonates with everything. So that's not my problem. And I'm not influenced by other people. I'm actually very uninfluenceable, if we can say. I'm a very hard person to influence because I'll always go back to what I think anyway. So these things are not my main problem. However, there is also another trap that we get into. And so this is why I want to bring this to a third level, and that's our repetition. Because when we paint, when we lack confidence, we have a tendency to hang on to the guardrails, to create crutches or a system or a method that we can just repeat that feels safe. And therefore, if it's safe, then we don't have that scary feeling of lack of confidence. So if we're just repeating what we always do, then we're just going to keep painting the same way that we always paint. So if we want to progress our paintings, we have to get rid of the guardrails, which means you have to have enough confidence to get rid of them. and to get rid of them so that you progress, I think the best way to do it is to play. And I think that is the best thing that you can do. And I'll show you why. And I'm going to show you something that I think that some of you have seen before, but I'm going to explain how I do it and why I do it and show you some ideas. So I'll take you to my paper and have a look. I've got my Arches paper, all right? I've just thrown on, literally, some of my brushes. Okay, these are not all of my brushes. I've got all sorts of brushes everywhere. I don't have a lot of brushes. I always use the same brushes pretty much. But these are just some of my brushes. Some of them you can see have never been used. This one had never been used until this morning. But let's just say this is my material. This is my palette. This is my paper. This is Arches. And these are my brushes. All right. Now, what happens when we change paper? We get destabilized. That's not good. When you are wanting to progress and you're wanting to gain confidence, destabilizing yourself is going to weaken your confidence. Don't change your paper. This exercise, use whatever paper you normally use. When you change your colors, you also will have a tendency to destabilize yourself because, oddly enough, when we change colors, we feel destabilized. This is just the way it is. I'm not sure why, but changing colors actually really destabilizes people. However, changing brushes is less scary. So if we change some of our brushes, all of our brushes, it's not a big deal. So what I would suggest, this is a brush I often use. This is a brush I often use. This brush I often use. This is a brush I often use. This one I don't use anymore, but I did. So I'm going to take away all of the brushes that, you know what, this is what I normally use. I'm going to put them away. I'm going to now do something with a brush that I don't normally paint with so that there is something new. So I'm going out of my comfort zone, but not in a way that I'm destabilizing myself. I'm going out of my comfort zone in a way that I'm going to be able to play. So I happily try something new so that I can happily change my habits and happily progress. And I think that works. So let's just throw some color on the paper. And this is what I would suggest. This is actually what I do before I do a painting. So this is just the back of something. That was actually what we did last Monday. So use the back of a painting, use the back of something so you don't feel like you're wasting paper. But trust me, what you're going to gain here is far more than what you would actually gain if you're trying to do a painting, oddly enough. And this is what I do. This is actually literally what I do. I play. So I may go just take anything. Okay. So I had never used this brush for a painting until this morning. And so I would literally just grab anything and just slop on anything anywhere. There is no intent. There is no goal. There is no, I want to paint a landscape. There is nothing at all. And I would just put on anything, anywhere, and just play. And I'm trying to loosen up my brushwork. So I'm not being particularly careful because there's no goal of result. My result is to loosen up everything, try new stuff, play, go out of the comfort zone, but in a way that if I feel like pouring water all over my paint, I can. If I want to put my hand in my paint, I can. It doesn't matter. This goal here is just to do whatever we want. And then maybe I'm going to take, maybe not elastics. Maybe I'm going to take some gouache. Maybe I'm going to take some color. Maybe I'm going to stick it directly on the paper. Maybe I've decided, why use brushes? Let's just throw it on. Go out of your comfort zone. Change what you do and literally play with your paint. Play with the water. Play with everything that you have. Do not think of painting anything. And maybe then just keep playing, keep playing, keep playing. Keep doing stuff and see where it brings you. Just see where it brings you. Doesn't matter what it is. Just play with it. Take off color. Go and take off color, add color. See what happens. Oops, sorry. See what happens if you add a black pen. This one's actually quite, there you go, it's turning orange now. See what happens when you actually paint with pen on wet paper. Oh, so look at that. It's not black. You can't see it very well. It's actually orange. So that means if I wanted to do, oh my goodness, if I wanted to paint electrical cables, maybe cables or maybe ropes from boats on my painting, but I find vertical lines or complete lines difficult with my little brush. Oh, so if I actually draw them on with a pen, they look exactly like a paintbrush line, and they've actually got loads of different colors. And it looks better than my brush line that I am hesitant to do. Oh, I've just learned something new. Ah, brilliant. Just the fact that I've played with this, I've learned something new. What if I decided, okay, but maybe there's another idea. Okay, so you see how this line here is dark? Yet when I scratched off the color here, it's white. Look at this. If I scratch off color here where it's wet, I've got no fingernails left. I've got a real problem with fingernails at the moment. If I scratch off color where the color is wet, I get white. Where the color is moist, I get a white line. But if I was to paint over that, the line's going to go dark. It's going to appear more and more as the color sinks in and goes into that line. And that color's going to go dark. Ah, okay. So perhaps then, if I don't want to use my pen to do cables and ropes and stuff like that, does that mean I could quite literally, look at this, I can quite literally draw, find a fingernail, Janine, that works. I can quite literally draw my lines on my paper by scratching them when I haven't even painted, and then I paint over them, and my lines, my very fine lines, you're going to see them, they're going to slowly appear. They're going to slowly appear. Very slowly, but they will appear. As long as I dug deep enough. Maybe I didn't. I was on a funny angle. Let me do another one. If I scratch them on and then I paint over them, there you can see them a bit better on this one, the lines will appear. So people who have all these troubles painting lines with brushes, maybe I can put them on. Maybe I can put them on with my, there you can see it coming now. I can put them on first. I can either put them on with a pen or I can scratch them into my paper. Wow. Playing on my paper showed me some new techniques that I wouldn't have thought about. What else did I learn? What else did I learn? Oh, let's just try something else. Let's try some white gouache. And I'm going to literally stick it on my paper because this is what playtime is. This is where you can do whatever you want and just play. Here I've got some purple. Let's just put some purple on. All right. Okay. Got some purple. We've got some let's put some blue, some white, some blue. Okay, this is Windsor blue. Okay, now you can't use gouache and you obviously can't use white because in watercolor we decided you can't make your own decisions, you can't be creative, and we have to impose rules. But maybe you're an artist like me that doesn't think that you need to listen to what everybody else wants, and that's what I would suggest. What if you played with that white? What if you actually picked it up and then you started to mix white gouache on wet paper, maybe with another color, and then you discovered, wow, that looks pretty cool. Oh, wow, look, when I mix these two colors, look, wow, look at that color. That color doesn't exist in watercolor. What an amazing color that is. I've just discovered a new color. Okay, why? Because I wouldn't dare do that in my painting. But if I actually play on my paper and I discover how I can start to even make it thick or maybe make it transparent. Look at these colors that I have. So what happens when someone comes up to my painting? This is actually what happens. I can go darker, I can go richer. Man, look at that. And they come up to my paintings, and you know what the main question that I get is? I can ask you, you can answer your microphone if you want to. Do you know what the main question that I get in my paintings is? How do you do that? Look at my hands. How do you do that? How do you get that color? How do you do that? And it's just because I sit there and I play and I literally put my hands, that's why my fingernails are always revolting. I literally play with stuff. I literally just think, okay, so what if I stuck my fingers in my paintings? What if I do this? What if I do that? What if I do this? And I actually just destroy my sheet and I will just go back and play and play and play and add thick color. And then I think, oh, but what if then I decide, but yeah, no, what if I made a mistake? What if I decided I didn't like it? Can I take this off? Oh, I've got no water in this one. Oh gosh, I used all the water this morning. Can I actually take that color off? Can I just basically bring that paper back to white? Don't know if you can see. Maybe I don't even need to bring it back to white, but can I take off loads of color? And if I can I rework the paper? Oh my goodness, can I actually use this paper to actually start to create different effects in my paper? Who said watercolor always has to be painted with a brush? Who said that watercolor can only have watercolor? Who said and who decided that gouache was no longer okay? Who decided that the white watercolors in the watercolor range are not good in a watercolor painting? Why am I listening to all of this? And maybe if I just sat there for a little time and I didn't listen to everyone else. And trust me, I love the watercolor scene. I think watercolor is great. I think the potential of watercolor, particularly for artists, is massive on many fronts, which I'll talk about in a second. But if I wasn't so influenced and I wasn't watching so much what everyone was saying and what I have to do, and I literally just stuck my hands in my paintings and played on my paper and just did whatever I felt like it just for fun. You know what? I've just discovered several different things that, you know what? I could then apply to my paintings. And what is one of the problems that we have today? If you look back at many artists' paintings, you're going to see that their method, the style, and the subject that they paint is probably pretty much the same as what they've done 5 years ago. For some people, even the same as what they've done 10 years ago, sometimes even 20 years ago. So that shows there's not a lot of progress because they're just repeating the recipe. But if you play and you discover new stuff, you're going to want to stick it in your paintings. Because one, it's fun and it's new and it's exciting. And then what's going to happen to your paintings? They're not all going to look the same. You're going to have played and discovered stuff. And then you're going to have confidence to put that new stuff in your paintings because you've just done it. So you see, oh, I know how to do that. I just did it. So it's going to be easy to do. And so your paintings are going to be different. And then your paintings are going to be full of different stuff that other people don't see. And they'll be, how'd you get that color? How'd you do that? And I think that's where creativity comes from. And I think that's where artists need to go back to. I think artists at the moment are probably, for many reasons, and there's no judgment in what I'm saying, it's just observation. I think we're becoming a little bit stiff and a little bit mechanical and a little bit scared to go out of the comfort zone. And I want to tell you that your playing, your experimentation, and your ideas are perfect. Don't always think that someone else's ideas are better, and don't always think that your ideas are not good. It's just that they're different from someone else's. But that's logical because that's your path. That's your creativity. Don't let other people tell you that your path is wrong or that your path is not good. It's just that perhaps you need to develop it more. Perhaps you just need to work on it so that it develops into something, because there's always uncomfortable periods. I'm doing this and then it's progressing, but it's not yet comfortable. And then you get somewhere. And sometimes you just need to work on an idea or play with it, or just um, make it a little bit more, I don't know, understandable, finished, whatever you want. But the idea is your path, and you can't copy comfortably the work of someone else's, the style of someone else's, the choices of someone else's, and it still be your own creative path. It doesn't work. It doesn't happen. So if you were to go back and just play with the backs of your paintings and just say, okay, so before I do a painting, or maybe you've just got an hour in front of you, half an hour in front of you, just play. Just destroy the paper, screw it up, open it up, and then paint on all the crinkled up pieces. Play with it. Do whatever you want with it. Stick your fingers in it, throw sand on it, do whatever you want with it. Discover new things, and do not be scared, or do not be influenced by the fact that they're your ideas, so therefore they shouldn't be good, or that they're not someone else's ideas, so therefore they're not as good. How are you going to progress? How is anybody going to progress with their paintings if they are not allowed to try new stuff? You can't. You quite simply can't. So what happens? We go around in circles and in circles and circles. And then over the years, we're still painting the same paintings in the same way. And then what are we doing? We're all looking the same. And then when we get to a competition, an exhibition with 2,000 paintings, and I can promise you, when you're looking at that many paintings and you're going through the paintings, they start to all look the same. And you kind of think, what happened to artistic identity? People going down and developing their own ideas? Why is it getting less and less instead of more and more? And I think some of these things are part of it. I don't think they're the only things. I think there's a lot more to it, but I think these are definite parts of it. And I think most people can see it, to be perfectly honest. I think what I'm saying is not something revolutionary. It may upset some people, but that's fine. But the most important thing is that if you are allowed to play, you are allowed to, so that's up to you. And you have to give yourself that permission, because it's you that's going to tell yourself off. It's like, no, I'm wasting a piece of paper. It's like, no, I'm wasting all that paint that I put on the paper. It's you that you have to say, you can waste this paper. It's not a waste though. You can play on this sheet. You can throw loads of paint on it, whatever. Let yourself do it and then see wherever you want to go, because you are going to discover, I'll show you, you're going to discover all sorts of things in this idea, and you're going to like, wow, I like this fact that this is no longer white. It's really soft. I like the way that I can then come back and play with my paper. I paint a lot with these things. Um, I like the way these lines, I didn't have to paint them on. I like the way I can scratch them in and I can create. I like, wow, look at the intensity of this gouache. Wow, look what the white did. The white, I don't normally use white, but look at the, I don't know, oh, here it is, it's up here. Look what the white does. I don't normally use white. I do. I use white all the time. Let me use a clean brush, because that one's got so much paint in it. It's going to take me half an hour to clean. Wow. Okay, so I've just got a huge chunk, a big blob of white gouache. Oh, wow, look what I can do. I can cover, I can create lines. I can do stuff that in watercolor could be kind of cool. It's kind of cool to have some white paint gouache on. It's kind of cool to be able to add a light value back on. It's kind of fun, and you're going to discover new things. You're going to feel like, wow, this is kind of must be what oil painters can do. Wow, oil painters, they can go back in and they can mix color and they can add color, and I can then correct my shapes. I can add new things. These are things in watercolor we think we're not allowed to do. Why? Who said? Who said watercolor has to be transparent everywhere on the sheet? Who said? Why can't we use watercolor in an opaque way? Why can't we add thickness and literally like a layer of paint on? Why can't we do all of these things? And I think we can. I think for some reason we're listening to too many people that are just repeating. I don't think they really believe it. Just repeating all these things. The white of the paper is the white we use in watercolor. When we do a wash, we paint lightest to darkest. There are so many rules and regulations. Don't put your horizon line in the middle. Your colors, when they're in the background, they should be bluer, warmer in the foreground. There are so many perceptions of reality, so many beliefs. But who said that we have to do that? And I think maybe we should sort of just push back a little bit and see where we can sort of add our own creativity and our own ideas and do it, because you are going to have so much fun. It makes a giant mess, but you're going to have so much fun. You're going to learn new things that you're going to be able to stick in your paintings, and it's going to give you the energy and the confidence to be different because you're going to have so much fun doing it. That contrasts a lot from someone who's, I paint it like this, then, oh, okay, the recipe says, okay, then I have to put this layer on and my window is, okay, like that. That's not comfortable. That's not free. That's not your own ideas. There's a very big difference between the two of them. One, you just absolutely have fun, and the other one, you're being very restrictive. And so I say, go for it. So have confidence in your ideas and just work on them. Because as you develop in your paintings will improve because it's real. When you're copying the ideas and the methods of someone else, that's not you. You can't build on it. And why would you want to be another one of them when you can be the original you? So that's my playtime for today. But try, just do it. And don't worry about the result. Do whatever you want on the paper. See where it leads you, because you're going to have a lot of fun. And from that confidence level, as it goes up, it's going to transform not just your paintings, but your entire ability to start to make your own decisions, to progress your paintings and take decisions in the way that you want. And so what's that going to mean? You're developing your own artistic identity. And that doesn't mean a style. Huh? Don't confuse the two things. A style is that recognizable way of painting, which basically just means you're repeating the same thing over and over again, because you're repeating something so often that when people see it, they know it's you because they've seen it 1,000 times. That's not your artistic identity. That's just repetition. I'm going to go further into that on a Monday Live. That's not progress. That's static. Okay, so play, enjoy, go out of the box. Stop listening to everyone else's rules and regulations. You can't put your focal point in the middle. You have to do 2/3, 1/3. Stop listening to what everyone says and just paint. And just paint the way you want. Add thickness, add gouache, add pen. Don't add ink. If you want to sell your paintings, it's not permanent. Stay with the permanent stuff. If you sell your paintings, if it's just to play, add ink. Okay, but just play and be comfortable going out of the box. And then what's going to happen? Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. So that's my thoughts for today. I don't know if anyone wants to ask any questions, say anything. Feel free, put your little yellow hand up or scream out. There's not many of us because it's, what is it? The 27th of December. But so cool because it's so easy to do. And I don't understand why people don't just play. there seems to be this pressure to every single time we pick up our brushes to paint a painting. And not just paint a painting, to paint a painting that is good. I come from a sports background. I've said this before. I came from a sports background. It was basketball. And we used to do exercises all the time to develop certain muscles, to develop certain gestures, to do certain things that you could then put all together when you would play a game, and you would improve your technique. And I guess that's kind of the same as a musician. I'm not a musician, but I kind of think it's the same. They're kind of practicing all different things, and then when they put it together in a concert, when they're playing a piece, then they get that improvement. But the artist doesn't want to do that. The artist doesn't want to practice, doesn't want to experiment, doesn't want to learn all the different things and build on them. They just want to do the competition. They just want to play the match. They don't want to build. And I think that's part of our problem. We're not spending enough time developing. We're just trying to perform. And it doesn't work. It can't work, because you're just going to get stuck. If you're not doing the development phase, you can't progress. Any thoughts? I've scared you all now, haven't I? Phil.
Yeah, see if this, oh, it is working. Right. Yeah, I think it's down to being judgmental, and we as humans can't help but be judgmental, unfortunately. But if we can just introduce a bit of acceptance and not look at what you've done and say, oh, that could be this or should be that or should be that. Should is a terrible word, isn't it? I think it could be if you're going to say it, but to actually judge your own work is just a big mistake. Just accept what it is, and as you say, if there's something you've assessed rather than judged, then you can work on that aspect. As you say, it's target practice. I mean, your own video is called target practice, is it not? So no, that's all really. It's being judgmental and harshly judgmental, and it's wrong.
I think so too. And you reminded me with that little word called humans of something that I wanted to say and I forgot. So thank you for that. There is this human behavioral thing where we want to conform, where we feel more comfortable if we're like everyone else. It reassures us when we're like everyone else. There's actually experiments which are done, which have been done all throughout history for many, many, many different reasons, where they actually put, let's say, 100 people in a room, and they'll give a false information, and they'll say, the answer to this is this, and it's the false answer. And even people who know the answer that is wrong will eventually fold to say the same answer as everyone else, because when we're part of a clan, humans feel better when they're in the group. So when you're isolated and you're the only one doing something different, it's scary. And you may think that maybe the others will judge you, and maybe you judge yourself. But it's so much more comfortable to be like someone else. And it's so much more reassuring if they accept you in their group because you're the same. But that just seems so fundamentally opposite to what an artist is. Because at least that's my vision. An artist is not the conformist. The artist is not the sheep.
That's
The
right.
artist is,
That was about survival, I think, Janine, wasn't it? Because, if you were outside of the community before we became such, city dwellers, well, some of us aren't, it was if you were ostracized from the village, you died. It's as simple as that. But
yeah.
Painting and art's a bit different. We're not going to die if your art doesn't look like everybody else's, that's for sure.
No, but that survival instinct just sort of keeps us in that we know have to be similar because that reassures me. But yeah, it goes deep into human psychology. But break away from it because go back to the fundamental. What is an artist? What are you there for? Because I see artists as the ones in the community that need to do extra stuff, that need to break the barriers, that need to show that it's okay to be different, that need to stand up and say, I'm okay being very different from someone else. And then what happens? Those that were sort of on the edge and wanted to do the same thing gain the confidence themselves to do it. So I always see artists as the ones that are able to expand the ideas in a community because they're the first ones that stick their heads out. Because I'm okay. I'm happy with my own creativity. I don't care. And I think if artists stop doing that, then all of those on the fence, they're not going to develop their individuality. And then all of those who didn't even have the idea would never get the idea to it. So we just keep conforming to the point where we're just all going to be the same. And then when I look at competitions, this is what I see. Instead of just seeing 10 landscapes that are all very, very much the same, maybe I'm going to see 100 of them. I tell you what, I probably won't want to judge after that point because I'm probably going to be very bored. So yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with you, Phil.
And you
Lena, what
don't,
do you think? But sorry, Phil, keep going.
just one little thing, you don't, just for anyone who's sitting there thinking that's not me, it can be anyone. We don't have to be an extrovert to be different. And that's an important thing to remember. And it's strange when you show somebody, one of my neighbors came around the other day and showed them something a bit different, and that people do accept it, people do appreciate it, more than you ever imagine. Anyway, sorry, Lena.
It's
okay.
it's what you're saying, and then we'll go to Lena. What you're saying is so important because then what happens? You then inspire others to also feel like it's okay. It's exactly that. And they are always happy. They're like, wow, ooh. And we're scared to be different, but then actually when you listen, the majority of the people are actually happy because of our difference. So yeah, absolutely. And it's not a matter of being an extrovert, it's just be yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Lena, when we're
Yeah,
talking about extroverts, let's go to Lena.
well, I think it's really a danger to try to be perfect because then, as you say, it becomes boring. And when I am in different classes, everything is the same, as you said. It's always cityscapes, it's always beige, and I get really bored because I can't do straight lines, I can't do beige. And what set me free when I started to paint, it was actually when a teacher told us to take a big paper, an expensive paper, really big one, and just throw colors on it and put stuff in it and just let it dry, as I did in Dinan. Because then you can't decide what it's going to be, what it's going to become. It's just become what it's become. And out of that, you can start create things and start using your imagination. And I think that a lot of artists nowadays, they are not using their imagination. They are just painting after a photo. And that, for me, it's not creative art.
No, and I think you
I really love when I see people using their imagination and just doing something.
yeah.
Then I feel happy.
Humans are actually very creative.
Yeah.
It's actually if you think about humans, we've created so much stuff.
Yeah.
Think of all the technology. Think of all the things we've created. What happens if we took creativity out of society? Society couldn't progress, couldn't change, couldn't develop. And I think you touched on a really important aspect, Lena, when you said that we often try to be perfect. And I think that also comes down to a lot of the education system where we give a 10 out of 10, an A, B, C, whatever the marking system is, to say that if you get the best score, you're the most intelligent or you've done the best job. But at the same time, what is the best score telling you? It's telling you that you've just repeated whatever they've told you in the best way. It doesn't say that you've been inventive. It doesn't say that you've been creative. It's just telling you that you've basically just repeated to the teacher or the marker whatever you had been told in class to the best manner possible. And we're going to tell you that that's perfect and that is the way to go. There's so many layers of it. And I'm not saying that the education system is the one that it's at fault, but we do strive to be perfect. But that perfect doesn't even make sense because we don't even know what perfect is. So I agree. I agree completely.
It takes away the childlikeness.
Child. Yeah.
Yeah. And my children, when they were in kindergarten, they had a teacher who didn't like the system. So she put in front of them a lot of stuff, just stuff, and let them play with it and do what do you call it? Erfindungen. They could build things and explore things and be I can't find the word, but they invented new things. And I thought that was really good because in Sweden they want children to have to go to kindergarten when they are 3 years old, and then it should be more schooling. It isn't like this, but they want it to be like that. And then it takes away all the playfulness because children need to play. They need to just be children, and we need also as grown up, I think.
I think so too. I think so too. And I think that I think we know it for children, that children learn the best through playing, but I think adults do too.
Yeah, I educate immigrants, grown-up immigrants in Swedish. And the best thing is to make them laugh and do silly things that they usually don't do. And especially in a lot of countries, they have to keep the face, you know. And I try to help them to lose the face. And usually they start learning much better if they can just laugh at themselves.
Excellent, excellent. Anybody else want to add something to that?
Yes, you've really made me think about, you know, how I say I don't paint like I used to. Well, I've got several paintings which are nothing like anything I do now, and it was because I was playing around, and those paintings went a long way and won various competitions and things. And I got to go back to that, haven't I?
Yeah.
It's, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about they were. I used to have water running everywhere. You know,
it's always the same, Joy. It's always the same. It's those paintings that you just have fun painting and you're just doing your own stuff that actually turn out the best. That's what's so silly about it. It's the ones that we work hard on and we try to get the best results that don't. But we've been taught somewhere, somehow, put the effort in and you'll get good results. No, let it go, play with it, have confidence in yourself, and you're going to see that things actually turn out better. And if you go and try and paint, I mean, everybody knows this. If you go to a watercolor and you go up there with your paint and your paper and your water and you're going to make it work, I can tell you what, it's not going to work, huh? It's not going to work. It's just you have to let more so watercolor have its say in the way that the paint fuses, the water runs, allow it to decide stuff and use your creativity to impose things, to adapt to stuff, to take compromises. And that's where you just play, because you're becoming reactive to what you have, rather than, no, it's me that decides. You will do what I say.
But
Yeah, you're right.
the interesting thing about one of these paintings was I did go out into the forest and took half a dozen or so photographs. Found a tree which was a little bit like two had got stuck to one another, and that was my basis. The end product doesn't look anything like the photograph, but it's still got that two trees twisted together somehow. So it was a bit of both, really. There was work put in before, but then letting go with
That's it. Yeah, that's why I say be confident. Every one of you have your baggage. You have painted in watercolor. You've had experience in paintings. You have learnt a lot. Have confidence in the knowledge that you've accumulated. It will come into your paintings. But if you don't allow a little bit of spontaneity and creativity to do the other part of the painting, it's going to be overworked, over-controlled, and stiff. So you have the knowledge, have confidence in what you know, and then let the rest of it just sort of play and be reactive for what's happening. It's both. So well said, Joy. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'll try to let go.
You have to. And that's why I always think that putting music on, and music that you get absorbed into, can actually distract us from overthinking. And then we're no longer thinking, so we're just reacting to whatever is on the sheet. And I know if I paint with music, I will very carefully choose the music that suits the atmosphere that I want to paint. So I'll be very mindful of, I want a very dynamic painting, then the music that I'm going to be choosing is going to be "Durr." And then if I want to paint a painting that's very soft and gentle, then I'm going to choose the energy in the music that matches that energy in the painting that I want to paint. And I always make sure that they're the same, because I know that the music is going to influence the way that I paint. So if I know I want to paint like that, then I have to choose the energy of the music that suits. And that stops me from overworking. But I also know that if I just basically turn up to my sheet and I say, okay, I'm going to do a painting. Okay, so I've decided this is my subject, this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to do it. I'm thinking. I'm now coming from a place of, I'm going to do this, I want this, and that doesn't create the spontaneity that I want. So what I do is I take my sheet, a scrappy back of a painting, and I play. And I will sit there for, maybe it takes 10 minutes, maybe it takes 15 minutes, maybe I end up turning this back of a painting into an actual painting. Maybe I go so far as to say, wow, this is super cool. And then I start working it, and then I end up with a painting on the back of it. That's happened many times. But I will actually go through this process because it gets me out of the thinking mode. It gets me out of the I want results mode. It gets me out of the I want this to be like this, therefore I will do that. And all of a sudden, I'm being creative. I'm warming up my hand. I'm warming up my ideas. I'm warming up my decisions. I'm playing. So even if I take that paper away and I put a new piece of paper here, I'm going to continue that playfulness in the next paper. But if I start and I start saying, oh, I'm going to create this composition, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, I'm thinking too much about my painting. And so what am I going to end up with? I'm going to be ending up with a painting that is overthinking, over controlling, over manipulating, forcing, and less coming from the playful spontaneity side. So my warm-up is always just to play, to warm me up, and to get me into the looser experimental side of painting, and it works so much better. And when I do it, it makes a difference. And when I don't do it, I'm just like, oh, Janine, it's like, obviously, I started stiff, and so I ended up with a stiff painting. I start playing, I end up with a more playful, more artistic painting. It's always the same. So anyway, that's my way. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be the way you want to do it. I know people like sticking a sheet of paper vertically, and like Lena said, throw stuff at it. I know from my experience, and again, this is just my experience, that when people change too much, they lose confidence. They destabilize themselves too much to the point where they get lost. So after 20 odd years of teaching, I realized that the easiest thing to change is the brush. And just take a brush that you don't normally use, because it will change the way you apply paint. Don't change necessarily the paper. Don't necessarily change the colors. Change the way you put the paint on the paper. And that's comfortable, fun, and you're going to see that there's going to be lots of stuff that comes out of it without actually losing confidence because, this isn't working the way it should because this paper doesn't work the way it's supposed to. And that destabilizes us. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody want to add something? All right. So the goal of these 5 sessions that I want to do is to help boost and get us out of our comfort zone. So go and play. Go and play.
But we are not gonna paint anything on these 5 days. We are just
No,
getting inspiration.
But this is sort of like the most unbridled because it's the confidence one. I will probably do a couple of little sketches of things. If you want to paint along, you can. But the idea is basically understanding where the problem comes from, why it becomes an issue for many artists, why it blocks many issues, but many artists, and then how you can get over it. So it's more that it's not about painting a painting, because it's the problem, and then it's how to get rid of the problem. And then anyway, during the Monday lives, we are actually going to be continuing some of this, because if you look at the painting that we're doing actually in 2 days, Monday 29th, the subject is confidence. So if you do want to apply what we're going to say, and you can want to see how you apply pretty much what I'm doing here into a painting, that's actually what we're doing on Monday. So you're actually going to see that there is a logic, not just in the 5 days that I'm giving you, but also in the Monday lives to apply what I'm saying here, and actually putting it into a painting. It's logical, but it's also because I can't function any other way. I can't sort of tell you one thing and then go and do something different. I want to sort of just make sure that this is understood, because honestly, 2026 is going to be so much fun in watercolor. And so the faster we can get rid of little blockages and things that annoy us, the easier and the more fun it's going to be. And I think we can put more fun back into our painting. So I don't really want to do paintings in these sessions because that becomes a little bit too much pressure, results. And that's not the goal. That's not the goal.
Yeah.
All righty. Anybody want to add something? No? All right. Well, listen, I will say I see you tomorrow for whoever wants to come tomorrow. But don't forget that you will get, I don't know if you're actually going to get the link to it, or I think I'm just going to throw it on my website. You'll see it on my website, and I'll also throw it on YouTube. Because I think everybody needs to just loosen up a little bit and get out of the idea of, I can't do this, I have to do this. There is no law and there is no rules in painting. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. Be creative and trust yourself.
When we book, we get a link on the email.
You probably get the link on the email, but
I
because
got it.
most people lose the links because they get lost in messages,
Okay.
I'll also put these videos in the technical part of my website where I did at one point, I did 7 7 exercises for different things. There's loads of information actually on the technical. If you look on my website, there's a drop down thing which says technique. There's loads of stuff in there. So I'll also put them there because I know people lose the links. And that way, if I just give everybody the link, then they're going to get lost. So I figured I might as well just stick them on YouTube and also on my website. So if you lose the link, you can't find the email, you know where they'll be. All right. Okay. But listen, have a lovely Christmas because Christmas still goes until I don't know how many days, but at least 2 weeks. And if I see you tomorrow, I shall see you tomorrow. And happy painting.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Play.
Thank
Play,
you.
play, play.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh.